Welcome to 221B Baker Street by way of the Southgate Bridge. It is a new season of the Baker Street podcast. I'm sorry for delay, but as you know, as being a podcaster, life gets in the way sometimes. But luckily, I have found someone to help me out. What to even call him? The Mycroft, the irregular. He goes by many names. He is Jesse Jackson. No, not that one.
Hey, Zach, how you doing?
Doing fine. So, of course, as I've said, we're talking about Season 5 premiere episode whose name I can't pronounce. Is it Folie?
Yeah, I am not sure either. It was, boy, but it was a fun, I'm always glad to see Elementary, and it's just so nice to have this back on, the DVR and getting to watch this.
So I'm looking up this. It's a shared psychosis. A delusion or mental illness caused people in association, so of course it's prize fitting for this episode. If we start right off, I've noticed something with the way Johnny's talking. There seems to be a different tone in his voice.
I had not noticed that. Please
the way he
elaborate.
talks, and the way he's interacting with people just seems to, and I've said this every season, it's just part of this, every season it's an evolved home, so I can't wait to see what this home is, although, as any of our faithful listeners you're probably about 4 episodes ahead of me because I didn't want to watch the other episodes till I've caught up. So you already know what kind of homes he might be right now.
I do love, and I think that's an interesting discussion, Zach, because I find the evolution of homes a big reason why I enjoy the show. I love the fact. And don't get me wrong. I love Sherlock, and it's brilliant in its own way. But because this is not a, 3 basically TV movies done every couple of years, this is a series show. You have that development of both Joan Watson and Sherlock Holmes. They change. He has become more human. He has become more concerned about his fellow human beings. And I love that development where he's still pretty much, a jackwagon sometimes and can be very, but there is at least a part of him that recognizes, not in a comical way that Sheldon Cooper does it on Big Bang Theory, where he said, I'm supposed to offer, a warm baby. No, this is trying to do that. So yes, great stuff. I think a really good point. His cadence is enough how he's doing.
So he's holding the roof. I love that it's always fun and when they start off with a different case. I thought he said a business partner, a friend, and Holmes doing his usual bothering thing that drove the guy to. I love Holmes that if I didn't think you'd land on someone, I'd let you do it, which I totally believe he would.
Which was a great line. It's so in character with him. Yes, I totally
while
agree.
Standing on the ledge and then shushes the murderer.
Yeah, you're not important. Just
and
sit there and wait.
Watson gets him with the taser. What a great pose to introduce Watson. And am I crazy or is it? I've got to talk. If we ever get a writer on the podcast, I want to talk about Joan's outfit because I got military or her outfit's very, you know what I mean? Like this, you got to.
She does wear some wonderful clothes, and I would love to talk to the costume designer or whoever's in charge of wardrobe.
I should try. I'm going to look into that too.
Yeah, because I think that's I wonder why they go with this is a small minor thing, Zach, and you'll laugh at me. It bothers me that Holmes wears his shirt the top button with no tie.
Well, that's a look some people do, I think.
I know, but it is a look I don't like.
I think it works for Johnny. We all have our little things that we know. And I noticed what I noticed about this episode is they let Gregson's hair go gray, which I'm guessing is his real hair, is what his hair really is like right now.
Yeah, I bet you that is a good point. And, is there I just love all of the this cast, and just how they work together, and they really have developed, and so that's
Yes,
wonderful.
and what's funny about the scenes, the guy leading the crime scene is this is probably all really Johnny, because Johnny really can run like this.
Yeah, and
he probably even had to slow down so he couldn't catch the guy.
Yeah, and I also, while you're talking about that, someone tweeted, and I don't know who it was, or else I would give them credit, but someone says that they like to watch Elementary thinking that Joan and Marcus are having a relationship, and no one tells anyone at all. So I do think there's a little chemistry there.
I think it's more brother and sister.
And I don't know if they would ever follow it. I know that I am firmly against the Sherlock Joan shippers. I believe that would be a horrible decision for the show to take.
They'll only do it if the ratings plummet. It's just like if no one's watching, they'll do it as a last ditch effort. And I love the scene when the guy who spoiler, we know who finds that is later. But when he gets away, the cab driver's speaking in a language I have no idea what it is, but Sherlock of course just knows what he's saying instantly.
Right.
And I love how wait a minute, this isn't they don't understand. It's oh, it's hit by a car. No, it was a different car. Also, it was something. No, this is okay. And they got his fingerprints from it leads them. I wanted to say his name right. Was it Nathan Reznor? I believe.
Yes,
it's
Nathan
so funny.
Reznor. Yes.
It's a small role, but I literally just watched the show, so episodes made me think. He plays one of the characters stupid. He keeps a heavy Boston accent in the show, and he's an idiot. So it's funny It's always funny watching actors play different roles.
Yeah, he's he plays the one of the dads on Teen Wolf, and he is also in Scandal. He plays the husband of one of the characters in Scandal.
I don't want Scandal can help you, but the stunt was pretty good. I want to make a quick mention of that. So we're back to the brownstone. Everyone's looking at evidence, and what's interesting is when he's watching the TVs, they're all on the same, which is a rare thing. They're all on the same topic.
Yes.
And and of course we're talking, and Holmes starts talking to Watson about is she happy in life, because it's an anniversary, because she's changed careers before, and he does. He wants to make sure she's doing what she wants to do.
Yeah, and I think that's another sign, as we're talking about, is he truly cares about Joan, and he has been very clear that he thinks she makes him a better detective. He thinks she makes him a better human. And he also feels like it isn't that just her asking the questions gets him to think right. He admires her mind and her concept of detectiveness as well, right? I mean, they truly are partners and equals, because they both have different strengths. And you could see he's a little, I'm selfish and I don't want to lose you as a partner, but also, is there something, are you not getting what you need?
So from there we get to the precinct, and the prints lead to this man. And now here's something I made a note of, and no one really mentioned this. This guy's such a bad liar. I mean, the character is he's so horrible, and he's oh, I ride in cabs in and out all the time, and I made a note of this. Yes, that's fine, but the prints were on the hood. Not much reason for you, and where they were on the hood. Not much on the driver's side on the hood. Not much reason for the prints of it. He's just, and I do like how he's well, do you remember where you were? He's yep.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out the timeline, if that's right before, or like if that it connects to the show at all, but I don't think it does.
Hmm.
So he's got pretty much an excuse, and so but then Joan realizes she has a connection to him, so she's gonna go looking at it. Now we get our new character, who I'm guessing is gonna be a regular for the season, Shinwell. What is his last name? Shinwell Johnson, as I thought. Now I looked it up. He
Yes.
actually that is the name of a character from a Doyle Holmes book. The Adventure of
Oh,
the Illustrious
nice.
Kind. I keep telling myself I'm gonna go back and read some Holmes before a season, but that's a lot. You know, I that's another story. But we have him, and then he's getting picked on by the jerk boxer, and I love this scene where he just whispers to the boxer and tells him how to beat the other guy. And I wonder if that's it's a foreshadowing to his character that he did something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's thing. Um, that is, I really like both of the. I love the idea that a person from Joan's
Mm.
past showing up.
And so
Yeah.
she shows up, and because she knows he was in the same cell block as him, and so she's
Hmm.
asking questions. She's like, oh yeah. She doesn't really remember him much. Then he makes a call. I don't know if anyone else felt this way. When he made that call, I was so worried. I'm like, oh god. But it was totally a red herring. The way they did, like, oh, we gotta
Hmm.
talk about the bar.
Yeah.
And so, but from there, we get home, check out the guy's garbage, and it finds out the guy did a insurance fire, so, which it could mean that he's immoral, it could mean that he's about money, it doesn't, we don't know if it means anything, but it very well could. And so we get a little scene there. But from there, and this is why I find we get to scene with the ex-wife. And the reason I find this interesting, the wife is right, even if we find out later, even if she didn't know it, that she's like, oh, everything is about the project, and we find out at the end of the episode that's very true.
Yes, it is.
And there's a little, we jump around a lot in this episode. From there, we go back to the Brownstone. Shinwell shows up, found out he actually took a risk getting her information. We get that nice little scene where Sherlock, again, shows change. He tries to connect with Shinwell. It does not work. But, from
Yeah.
there, we get information. It turns out he doesn't know anything about the bomber or the guy they're looking at, but he does know someone that was close to him in prison. So that they put in Clay Felder. And so that he points him in their direction. And it's funny when we first meet him. I made a note of this. It was a spoiler because obviously, especially if you're late with how late I am, you know what happens. But I find him in this scene. I found him very hard to read. Right here, I didn't think he had anything to do with it.
Right. I wasn't sure. It is, and a lot of times there are shows that I watch with I'm trying to play whodunit, and a lot of times on this one I'm just
Mm.
enjoying the story. I'm not trying to guess who, and I think it's because I love the way these characters interweave between the four of them
Indeed.
and kind of the journey of going. So it doesn't bother
Yeah,
me
yeah. Well, it's
much.
again with something
Yeah,
we've talked about. I've talked about with almost every co-host I've had on this podcast. Is the
yeah,
hard thing about procedurals is because if you have obviously if an actor's there and it's well known, there's a good chance you're going to go, oh, well, if that actor's here, he's probably involved. So it's really hard to be surprised.
right.
But this show does a good job, I think, of handling things. But again, he gives information and says, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You cops are corrupt. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
And so from there, we jump around again. We jump to the brownstone. Sherlock gets frustrated because he can't even though he believes the man is guilty of the crimes, there's no way to prove it. So he decides to blow up his picture.
yeah,
And we have an interesting what he asks because he can notice the connection between Joan and Shinwell. It's a big surprise he knows it, and we find out that well she she talks about this later in the episode, but it's a theme of this season probably. She misses being a healer.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because I thought that was a really nice side of her. In other words, she's really enjoys, solving problems, but both as a surgeon and then as a sober companion, she was helping people to get better. And as a detective, she's giving closure to people who lost a loved one in many cases, but it really is just about the puzzle. So I could see that's a realistic character where she would go, I miss helping people. And I thought, and jumping ahead, right, at the ending where she goes through that, I thought was really touching where she reaches out to him.
Well, if we remember from the original canon, Watson, even though he chronicled Holmes' cases and helped them solve them, he was a doctor right till the end of the book. And, and that could be an interesting thing to do here if she, decides she wants to, maybe not become a surgeon again, but maybe opens up some kind of medical stuff in her office. Yeah. And that could be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I agree.
So they get a call from Gregson, and it turns out there's another bombing. The problem is, Nathan, was surveillance because they still suspected him. So that means he can't be at least the person that bombed. So they're starting to talk to Case, and for some reason, Holmes is mixing a smoothie, which apparently didn't taste good by the look of it. I don't know why, but there was something about the way he said people. Like he says, you said person, it's not person, it's people. Something about, and this is just probably because I like the way Johnny delivers lines. There's something about the way he delivered, the way he said people just stood with me. Every so often there's a line or just a word where he'll deliver and it just sticks with me. Even if it has nothing to do with the case.
I totally get that.
So Holmes believes there's more than one person working. Even he still believes the one guy's guilty, and he believes someone's helping. So they decide to essentially break in the Felder's house. And one little hint that he's up to something, he's got a lock that even took Holmes a long time to break.
Yeah. And it's always nice when we see Holmes a little bit human. Having struggle, not understanding things. Because it gives him that humanity where there's enough in there of he is really good at what he does, and he's very smart, and he is Sherlock Holmes. But I love when they show us every once in a while that this is outside of his skill set, or he's not sure, or he is sent the wrong way.
So we find out that Felder actually, his home was literally he could look out the window and see the first few bombings. So that's definitely a big hit there.
Mm-hmm.
So they find model trains and there's chemicals there. It's just a weird coincidence to see it's stuff. I mean, I don't know. I know nothing about model trains, so I have no idea if any of that's actually the stuff you use.
Right.
But he says it's an amazing coincidence. So they trace the chemicals, and it's the same composite, and it pretty much proves he's involved. But again, they can't prove who was this. They know they're both involved. They deduce. See, this is an example of deduction. The way you're not sure what's right because they can deduce the chemicals, but there's no way to deduce who did what first. So they're trying to guess who's the student, who's the teacher. And he fully admits, and what's interesting, which throws a lot of people, he fully admits, I'm the bomber, whatever. And you notice how his character completely changed. Like I said earlier, I couldn't tell. His demeanor completely changes here. When he admits he's a bomber.
Yes, I agree.
And then he's like, I'm gonna go on a killing spree, you wave of terror and all that good stuff. And I love, we get Holmes chewing some gum for inspiration. And I love how I love the way Holmes deduces. It doesn't make any sense for him to say this. This is not his style in any way. People like this do not change this drastically. And when they both say he's lying, I love that because they don't believe for a second that he's telling the truth. Not really, that he's telling the truth about the bombing.
Absolutely.
And so they trying to figure out the way that they do it, and then they look into the deal. And it turns out that the bombing, the scare, the fear is the point because of that, again, about the land deal we brought up earlier. It's allowing him to build on Nathan's land. And I think this is an important thing to note, that Felder is just a guy, again, is just a guy who likes blowing stuff up. But Nathan is about money. Even his original crime, the fire, it was about money. He doesn't care about people getting hurt. He's just an amoral individual whose ends justify to me that just wants money.
Yeah.
And I think this is very, very important to note that the reason they get caught is because Nathan is an idiot. He goes to the bomb site to look at it and runs from it. His alibis stink. He's got no good stories about it, and just all around he's not good at hiding stuff. I mean, sure, catch the chemicals at the other guy's house, but still, the Nathan is the reason they got caught.
Yeah, and I love the fact that once again, sometimes they're just stupid. So yes, very good call.
Yes, I just enjoyed it. And now another thing, again, this I don't know if it's just a new style, but like they're really focusing on style of speech in this episode. Like when they start to accuse Felder again, or Fielder, his lying gets so bad. It's so obvious. He's like, no, it was me. It's all me. And then when they have to show him that there is no money coming in for his family, there's like no reason. The way he just this actor did a very good job. Lee Turriggs, and I've seen him in other stuff. He's a very good character actor, but I thought he handled it very well. And so for the heck of it, because it's Nathan's fault, because he's an idiot, they just he gets given up and they catch him.
Yeah. And well done and very nice. A good ending, and you're sitting there going, okay, very nice.
Yes, and then we get a little, because on Holmes, it's interesting because Holmes is the one that suggests to Watson, you can still help people, because he talks about the prison rates and how people with health can understand that, and because Shinwell wants to know how Jones changed, and so she goes to visit him. And I mean, he lives in a halfway home, and we find out right after this scene, he's got a gun there with him, so he's probably got some other stuff going on. So I am very curious to see, because again, we know the writers in the show don't do anything without a reason, so I am quite fascinated to see where they're going to go with him.
Now, see, I read this totally different. I read that he was about to commit suicide.
Oh. No.
I really thought that he was going to sit there and just, he had no hope and he had nothing, and he just was going to kill himself. And then her coming was enough for him to say, okay, maybe there is a chance for me. Maybe I do have someone on my side, and that's how it's going. Now I'm not saying I'm right. That's how I read it.
I mean, it's an interesting take is because of how he was holding it because that's how you hold it when you're expecting for someone to try to break through the door, the way he's hiding it. So that's what, remember, he's living in a halfway house and he's an ex-con, it's definitely an interesting idea of it. So I'm curious to see what. So overall, the episode it kept me very interested. The criminals were good. Again, demeanor was so on point this episode. So it looks like they haven't missed the beat at all in this. So I'm very happy so far about this season. Case was good. Characters were good. I think it even has good rewatch value.
Yeah, I agree. My only my small nitpick is I love when Fiona's there, and I would have liked to seen just a little bit of a scene.
Who?
But yeah, overall, just a great. And I would give this 9 Indian. I would give them 9 Indian chiefs because Jones said I haven't been a construction worker, a biker, or an Indian chief yet.
You said Fiona?
And you got to love a Village People
Fiona?
reference.
Who's Fiona? My brain just shut down. Yeah. Oh, I didn't remember because she's still a fairly new character. Yes, I was thinking that too. There's a lot of characters I'm looking forward to seeing more of, like even.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting. The way she plays and everything, I think they're really good together. So I'm hoping to see more of that.
I'm sure they'll bring because they didn't mention her at all. But
yes.
So first, this is an aspect of the show we do favorite lines here. So you kind of touched on one of them. You think I don't get the Village People reference, but I do. And then I have, and this is just, again, delivery. The actor plays Shinwell. When Sherlock, he's like, I've been shot. And he goes, that's great. And then we have a line which is actually from original Holmes canon. Trust your instincts, though you can render no reason. And of course, one's the best one. I once found the testicles of an illegally poached Asian black bear in the bins of an English member of Parliament because he believed they had curative powers.
Very well done.
Yes, I think we summed up. I'd like to thank Jesse for coming out. I'll probably Watson seems to have gone missing. Although we might have an old friend coming back to help with some co-hosts. I can make no promises, but Jesse, of course, will. I'm hoping you'll thank everyone for listening. Again, I apologize so much for the delay. We're going to try to catch up as much as we can. With Thanksgiving and other stuff coming up, we'll probably get a good chance to catch up. But other than that, it's time for us to depart. Don't forget to catch us on Facebook, Baker Street Podcast, and of course, BakerStreetPodcast@gmail.com. So that is all for now for the game. Once again, is afoot.